Hey guys, this is Oracle Daphne, and I'm back today to do a new series, which is going to be long format for the Sun Sign Collectives. This is the first in the series. This is for Aquarius. This is a timeless reading, and I tried to figure out, how I wanted to do these because I cannot do these every month. These are going to be posted for each sun sign as a collective, as like a group. So I'll do one for every sign, and then after that, add to that playlist. So I'm going to have a playlist for Aquarius, a playlist for Pisces, Aries, so on and so forth for the entire zodiac. I'm just starting, so not everybody's going to be posted right away. I have to do these when I have time and when I'm available. So I just want to say thank you so much for supporting this channel and being amazing. I'm trying to change up the language of how in my descriptions of my readings, so don't worry, like it's still me, but I'm just changing a little bit of the wording so that I have a little bit of a farther reach. So you may see that that's a change that's happening. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how these play out, these collectives play out. Today is a charm and tarot reading. If you'd like to book, you can still book a reading. You would need to pre-order. The links are in the description box. Of course, all donations are really appreciated since all of my readings are free. My channel is not monetized, so there's no advertisements. And yeah, I'm just ready to jump right in and see what I get. I've already seen like a lot of really interesting messages that want to come through for Aquarius. Again, this is for anybody who has their sun, moon, or sun in Aquarius, or any strong planets in Aquarius, or just is interested to hear what the messages are for this reading. So let's jump in. I'm just going to pull some cards. I already feel the element of movement or travel is very significant here for Aquarius, those of you watching. And I'm going to say, I've started doing readings where the messages are meant to find you in a period, when you find them or when the algorithm pops them up in your feed. So essentially, the timing of this is going to depend on when you find this reading. It may be pertinent to a closer time frame than you're expecting. Or it may happen a little bit later, but it's most likely going to happen around the time that you're watching, okay? Or sometime later into the future that's not too far into the distant future. Yeah, there's like a lot of directions that are coming up here in this reading. We have the Adventure Awaits charm, which has like an arrow on it, and so the direction is east. We also have this piece, which is very interesting. I think of the Pacific Northwest when I see this, but the direction here with the arrows is also, I would say, southwest and southeast. And there's a lot of interesting, things happening with places like Tennessee and the Appalachian areas, and I'm interested to see in the future how people sort of slowly migrate to those areas, because I feel especially like even like Tennessee and like parts of Oklahoma, parts of Texas, parts of, I want to say, Georgia, Alabama, places that are more I want to say central US, but I'm also not reading for just US, listeners. So obviously this is going to apply to your town or country where you live. But those of you who live in the United States, there's this interesting migration to places that are a little bit less expensive. So their migration away. So from places like in California, and the western areas, which can be expensive. So I'm seeing that specifically come through in this reading. I also see some of you, and this is going to sound interesting, we have the feathers here, notifications like popping off, like you suddenly getting an influx of interest in whatever your business is, influx from notifications, comments. If you're a social media person, this would be an increase in comments, increase in activity for anything that you're doing. You could have your own business, you could have your own clients, you could have anything that you've got going where you get notifications for. This does have like, social media energy, but I don't necessarily think that it's going to be that way. You might get strangely an influx of text messages from people, like, 4 at a time, from people that maybe you haven't heard about. So communication is going to ramp up for many of you. I'm seeing that. Just a lot of feathers here. There's a feather in the Magician card, and there's 2 feathers here. I also feel like it's related to finances. So you might get notifications that, you've got money through PayPal, or you've got money through Venmo or something like that. Those of you who, again, it's going to come as a kind of interesting influx. I wouldn't say a surprise. It might be surprising to you. Like, I'm seeing the number 3, so it could be like 3 in a row, but it doesn't have to be that number. It could be more than that. Just a lot of communication. You could get emails from people also that, come out of the blue. I'm seeing like the blue in this charm here, and the blue in these pieces. I see a lot of like, I don't know how to explain this, like sword, wand energy, sword and wand. So that's air and fire energy. We have the wand that's showing up here in the 5 of Wands card. And then we have the sword and this in this seashell here, which are all very, we also have the Ace of Swords here. So I feel like I am reading for Aquarius, which is, like an air sign. And of course it's the swords, but there may be an interesting dynamic between you and another fire sign. But I also feel like it's an interesting energy that I don't really necessarily know what to make of. I feel like for many of you, it's going to play out in you speaking up for yourself, you using your tongue, your sword of truth, and saying, this is what I want. Those of you who live in a place where there's a lot of noise, you're going to be saying, yeah, no, this has to stop. And I do actually feel, and this is going to sound strange, that there's going to be an ending, like a cut off to something that's caused you stress. And that could be like, let's just say like noise in your complex, noise in your house, like noise outside where you live, maybe not liking the area that you live. Those of you who have longed to move out of the city, maybe you're moving out of the city that you live, and there's going to be an ending to the stress around it, the irritation or the stress that goes along with, and there's just like, and there was like a loud, can you hear that loud motorcycle going by just now? I feel like it's just a kind of like an ending of sorts, but I feel like for many of you, you're standing in some element of truth and you're standing up for yourself. And for many of you, advocating for better for yourself, whatever that is, maybe arguing your points with somebody. Even like for some of you, like I see like a heated argument over dinner. So like say you get invited to dinner somewhere, like you're going to be really speaking your truth at that dinner or at that place. For some of you, you might be advocating for a really good cause, like, fighting for a really good cause. There's a lot of Aquarius in the world that do really great things. Like, they do a lot of animal rescues, and they support animal shelters, and they do all kinds of things with, supporting people who are, survive domestic violence, and, just all kinds of things. And so you might actually meet somebody, and this is interesting. It's one of the energies that's coming through is someone who's going to advocate for you. Someone who's going to stand up for you. There might be somebody who comes in and steps in and says, it can't continue for this person or for this Aquarius. Someone who's going to be on your side. I do feel like there's a masculine around you that has a lot of fire or warm energy to them. And they are really going to have your back and stand in your corner. They may actually, take up a sword for you. They may fight for you. This could also be someone who's like in law, or this could even be like a doctor or a counselor, or somebody in a position who would be in a position to fight for you. Somebody who would be in a position to stand up for you. I feel like many of you are going to be standing up for yourself, but there's this energy about somebody coming in and I feel like there's a strong male energy. We have the Magician and the 5 of Wands, energy, and that's masculine energy. And this, this wand energy is very masculine. So, I do want to say, okay, now this is going to sound strange, but, I feel like there's a masculine who really has the hots for you. so like intensely. They may have had the hots for you for a really long time, and you're going to find out about it. Okay. You're going to know about it. You're not going to be like in the dark about it. You're going to find out about it. But it's like matching up. I feel like there's going to be something about matching up for you regarding your sex life, regarding your love life, coming into alignment. To me, this is like perfect alignment. You can see how these two, the seashell and the sword, line up perfectly. And then we have a little star here. So, you know, you could come into alignment with someone and get pregnant very easily during this period of time. You could come into alignment with someone and have a really great date. Go out on an amazing date. You know, I mean, we're talking flowers. It's romantic. It's got ambiance. It's everything you can imagine a really great date to be. You know, the physical chemistry is there. Really great conversation. I just see a lot of positive masculine energy coming through for you, whether you identify as masculine or not. Okay. I feel like this is another person. I don't feel like this is you, although you could be a male Aquarius and have a lot of strong fire in your chart. You could be a female Aquarius and have a strong Sagittarius or a Leo or something in your chart. You could be a fire sign and watching for an Aquarius partner, somebody who has strong Aquarius in their chart. So there's a lot of things that could happen here. But okay, so what else? So yeah, you being in alignment with this fire energy, and being in alignment with the fire energy doesn't necessarily mean it's talking about your sex life, although for many of you your sex life is going to be really great during this period of time. Okay. For many of you, you're going to fall in love as well during this period of time. This warm energy is actually really positive for you and really supportive of you, and I don't see it as being something that you are going to take for granted. I feel like whoever, like, even like, let's just say, we're not talking about romance anymore for a second. We're talking about like someone who shows up in your life to bring you something, whether that's a soup or flowers or, you know, something kind, do something nice for you. I feel like you're going to really appreciate whatever it is. I feel like anything that's maybe given to you or gifted to you or something that comes in through a friend, even if it's just like a kind email, you're going to really appreciate it. That's what I see. But I mean, being in alignment is really amazing for relationships, and for dating and for, you know, longevity. You have to be in alignment with somebody if you're going to have a long-term partnership. So I feel like there's something about longevity here, wanting maybe some element of longevity, with a certain person. There's so many other messages that want to come through here. Many of you maybe feel trapped or stuck where you live because we have the devil here in position of attitude, or maybe you feel bound to like banks, loans, credit cards, you know, whatever, you know, the normal devil stuff is. I feel like you're going to overcome that though. I feel like you just have to really switch your perspective and outsmart the devil. Okay. Aquarius needs to learn to rise above as well, the fire challenges. Okay. So what are the fire challenges? The fire challenges are letting your temper or letting your emotions be destructive. That is a thing that, you know, air signs in general need to learn, but Aquarius especially, because Aquarius is at the end of the air signs. So it is the last chance for the air signs to learn to overcome their temper and their shadow fire, you know, Leo energy. I feel like if you adopt like a get up and go energy of like, I'm just going to go do this, I'm just going to get up and go. If you adopt kind of like maybe like a little bit more of an Aries spirit, I feel like it's going to really behoove you. I met this really interesting person, you know, when I was in my car, and this person told me I felt like he was afraid to tell me. He was afraid to be honest with me, but he was honest with me, and I wanted him to. And he said, you know, if you just changed your attitude, you would be like out of your situation in a second. And I said, you know, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? You know, he's like, attitude is everything. He's like, when you switch your attitude and change your attitude, you could go anywhere in life. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You just have to switch your perspective. And I thought about it. I really did. At first, I was a little bit irritated by it. I didn't really necessarily ask him for that kind of push, but it pushed me in a really positive way. It made me see that at the time, whatever my perspective was not necessarily helping me. So for some of you, you need to look at your attitude and how you're approaching things from whatever perspective you've got. Now, I'm not going to invalidate people, okay? Because I did feel at the time when he told me that, like, invalidated. Like, it was kind of like him saying, all of this is your own fault and everything that you're doing is wrong and you're not even trying and blah, blah, blah. And he didn't see all of the things that I was doing every day to try to change my situation. And he wasn't seeing that I was still waking up with a mostly positive perspective and still sort of radiantly, glowingly optimistic about making changes in my life for the better and that good things were going to happen. So he didn't necessarily see that. But what he meant was, if I changed my attitude and adopted and shifted my perspective to being just different than the way I was seeing things or the way I was approaching things, then I would have opened the door much faster for my success. And the Fool is a fast energy. And so for many of you, the door to success is going to open when you shift your attitude, when you get up and go. When you decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to go fucking over here and I'm going to do this regardless of what everybody says. And I don't care about this over here. I'm just going to go do it. Make it happen. Get it done. My dad would always say, get it done. So for some of you, you just need to go get it done. But be smart about what you're doing. He would say, use your head. Going back to the communication element, we have the Hermit and the Judgment card here. The Judgment is getting a call. My guy's getting a call from someone. Who are they getting a call about? What are they getting a call about? I feel like for many of you, you're going to get a call back on a job that is not the best, or on something that maybe doesn't pay you as much as you would want, or like isn't necessarily helpful towards your success or your survival, but maybe you're going to do it anyways. For example, the Five of Swords energy often talks about conflict, but in this, I'm seeing like a restaurant job, something which maybe pays you a few bucks an hour to wait on tables, and you're not able to really make that much because maybe there's not that much business, kind of thing. Maybe you do make enough, but it's really not that much compared to what you could be making elsewhere or what you could be doing. So it's like you're going to get a call back on something, which would be like a scrap. You might also be given or donated something, what I would be called a scrap. Like you might get a small donation, or you might get something small sent to you, like say from a friend. That's a scrap. It's not a lot. It's just enough to kind of keep you going. For some, this would be maybe some small financial help, depending on what you're asking for. You might ask family for help. You might ask small financial help from a friend. Whatever that is, it's going to be smaller than what you probably are wanting it to be. It's still going to be helpful, and you're probably still going to be grateful, but it might be irritating in the sense that it's small. It's still small. It's still maybe not enough to really get everything that you need to get or do everything that you want to do. And Aquarius gets frustrated by those things, I think. Not all Aquarius, but I feel like Aquarius needs to keep it moving, keep it breezy. When they don't have enough for things, it's really irritating. What else wants to come through here? I feel like there's this really strong connection to some larger animals, specifically giraffes, elephants, horses, just any larger animals, larger physical animals. I'm seeing also whales. Could even be large birds for some of you. I'm just seeing like this larger animals. You know, we have this Four of Wands here, and this is like, it reminds me of like a giraffe a little bit, even though it's not, it's an antelope. But we have the giraffe here, and that's what I'm seeing. So for some of you might be attracted to or connected to the, you know, larger animals, or the collective of animals that are larger in size. I was watching this interesting video. This is just a side note, that there used to be, back in the day, larger animals, and people were actually bigger because we lived in an oxygen rich environment. The planet was oxygen rich, so we didn't go out and need like to get oxygen, like, you know, like we were starving. It was just like we had so much oxygen to spare because of the amount of the trees and, you know, vegetation, and we weren't burning the rainforest, you know. So this is just, you know, a side note. It's just interesting. What else do I see for you guys? I see for some of you being fearful a little bit about finances. I feel like you're going to overcome things, you know, just at the point when you can't, you're like, I need the money. Like, where is it? It's going to come. Okay. I always say, you know, some people, you know, tend to feel really SOL. You know, we have the screw here. You might feel really screwed, really SOL, but then something good's going to happen and something good's going to come through financially. That's what I see here. I see some romance happening from someone who lives at a distance. This could be a long distance relationship, because we have the sea heart here. And the sea heart reminds me of a person who's not, you know, doesn't live necessarily close to me. And so it reminds me of just sort of just this connection to somebody who's you have a romantic interest in. Okay. And who's maybe at a distance, or maybe you haven't seen. You might be in a long distance relationship, or you just might not have seen them, or you might be apart for some reason. We have the Two of Wands here. This is coming into union, guys. Those of you who believe in twin flames, this is coming into union. Okay, so I feel like you're going to see them again. We also have this Knight of Wands here, and she's looking, you know, out in the distance, and I feel like you're going to see them again. I also feel like you're going to be really focused, and I would encourage you to be really focused and fun at this time. You know, we had the Joy card came up, and I wanted to mention it. You know, this is blossoming, this is fun, this is doing things that, you know, make you feel good, you know, things that you do just for like fun and no particular reason. You know, I would encourage you, if you feel like going to a movie, go. If you feel like going for a walk in the woods, go. If you feel like, you know, going shopping just to go get one thing, or just to go look to see what they have, go. I would encourage you to really do things that shift your perspective, expand your horizons. I would say that would be the final message for this reading. Thank you guys so much. I will be back again for more readings, so stay tuned. I send everyone big hugs, big kisses, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye, guys. Take care.